between the cells often hard to see in tissues. That is because of absence of any cell wall. So they'll take a round shape, but they'll have a regular flat sides. So their structure or the shape is somewhere like this, where they'll have flat sides because of present of the cell wall. So in prokaryotic cells, cell wall is present, which is made up of I hope you remember, it is made up of peptidoglycan. Plant cells also have a cell wall which is made up of cellulose, and fungal cell wall is made up of chitin, we discussed earlier. So animal cells will not have a cell wall. So here in prokaryotes, no nucleus, instead there is a paler region which is called as a nucleoid. While plant cells and animal cells, they both will have a nucleus. But it might not be visible under normal condition. You might have to stain to see the nucleus. Simple internal structure with no membrane bound organelles. Organelles are generally absent and they'll have a simpler structure. In plant cells, they'll have plastids, which will have the chloroplast, which will include chloroplasts, etc., such as chloroplast. Amyloplast will store starch, so which stores starch here. No chloroplast or stored starch, but cytoplasm contain many other organelles. This also has a lot of other organelles, okay, other than the plastids. No vacuoles or other internal membranes. It has a large vacuole. So plant cells will have a large vacuoles often present, or in animal cells, the vacuoles are really small in size, okay, and they might be present and might not be seen sometimes. So if we see one by one the organelles, nucleus is double nuclear membrane structure. It has a double nuclear membrane outside, and it also has nuclear pores to pass small sized molecules can pass through it. Okay, so it has a dense chromatin, and so chromatin is present inside this particular nucleus. The nuclear membrane is double layered and it has pores through it. So the nucleus contains chromosomes containing DNA associated with histone proteins in eukaryotes. Uncoiled chromosomes are spread through the nucleus in areas appear pale and grainy. The small areas that are more densely stained, mostly around the edge of the nucleus, contain parts of chromosome that have remained coiled up, condensed. So condensed DNA will be seen in the cell division condition while the cell is dividing. So the nucleus, where DNA is replicated and transcribed to form mRNA, which is exported via the nuclear pores to the cytoplasm. So the DNA is present here. We discussed DNA can replicate and form, or it can actually multiply twice its whole genetic material. So that will be replication, and from DNA the gene expression will take place. So in gene expression, a particular part of DNA or a particular gene is actually transcribed. So basically from DNA mRNA is formed, okay, and this mRNA is formed inside this nucleus. After formation of this mRNA inside the nucleus, it is transported outside through these nuclear pores inside the cytoplasm, where from this mRNA protein synthesis will take place. Okay, protein synthesis will take place. So we have discussed it multiple number of times that the ultimate product of DNA is proteins, which might have different roles, okay, inside a cell. Now the next one is rough endoplasmic reticulum. So why we call it rough endoplasmic reticulum? Because ribosomes are attached to these particular endoplasmic reticulum membranes. So these ribosomes are helpful in this protein synthesis for translation. So the function of ribosomes is protein synthesis. So the process is called as translation. Okay, and DNA to mRNA synthesis, the process is called as transcription. So transcription takes place inside the nucleus. Translation takes place outside the nucleus inside the cytoplasm. Okay. So rough endoplasmic reticulum will have ribosomes attached on its surface. So certain ribosomes will be attached on the outside of endoplasmic reticulum, and few ribosomes will also be freely suspended in the cytoplasm, where also the process of translation or protein synthesis can take place. The rough endoplasmic reticulum consists of flattened membrane sacs called cisternae. So these sac-like structures, here we can see a lot of sacs which are called as cisternae attached to each other. They are connected to each other. Ribosomes are attached in the outside of these cisternae. They are larger than the prokaryotes and they are ATS. Okay, the Swedberg unit for eukaryotic ribosome is ATS. The main function of rough endoplasmic reticulum is to synthesize proteins for secretion from the cell. So whichever cell has a secretory function, so most of the proteins will be secreted in the endoplasmic reticulum. So protein synthesized by ribosomes of rough endoplasmic reticulum passes to its cisternae. It is carried by vesicles, bud off, and move to the Golgi apparatus. So what does it do actually? So first of all, it will be synthesized on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum. It will enter inside the protein will be entered inside the, so for example, if this is endoplasmic reticulum cisternae, so these are ribosomes attached on the surface. So if this is mRNA which is coming to it, the protein will enter inside this particular endoplasmic reticulum, and later on it will be passed on to the next cisternae, and a vesicle will be formed in which this particular protein is stored, and it is passed on to Golgi apparatus, and Golgi apparatus will ultimately take it to the plasma membrane where it will actually bud off. So if this is a plasma membrane, this is the vesicle, and this particular protein will be secreted out of the cell. So this is the whole transport system. So the secretory cells, if they have to secrete, for example, several you can say there are several hormones that are produced or secreted by cells. There are several other signals that are secreted by cells. So all those proteins are synthesized by the ribosomes attached with this endoplasmic reticulum. And other proteins that have function within the cell, they will be synthesized using the ribosomes that are freely suspended inside the cytoplasm. Okay, so they will retain within this cell. Next is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So endoplasmic reticulum is basically two types. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum, one is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now rough endoplasmic reticulum's function was protein synthesis, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum's function is basically for production of several you can say lipids. So it is used to synthesize lipids, phospholipids and steroids. A special type of smooth endoplasmic reticulum stores calcium ions in muscles where it is relaxed. So whenever it is relaxed, the function of this smooth endoplasmic reticulum is calcium ion storage. Otherwise in most of the cells, so this is particularly in a muscle cell we are talking about. Okay, otherwise their function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum is synthesis of lipids, phospholipids and steroids. So now coming to the next one, Golgi apparatus. So just as I told you, in endoplasmic reticulum the protein synthesis will take place, then it will be transported to Golgi apparatus, and from where it will be secreted out. So these Golgi apparatus also have similar long strand like structures which are also called as cisternae, just like endoplasmic reticulum, and they will also secrete a lot of vesicles which will be targeted to different places. So for example, it has a protein which has to be located on the plasma membrane, so this vesicle will take it to the plasma membrane and the particular protein will be localized on the plasma membrane. And if its function of this protein is to be secreted out, then this vesicle will take it outside and it will be secreted outside the cell. So this is the function of Golgi apparatus. So the organelles consist of flattened membrane sacs like cisternae in rough endoplasmic reticulum. However, these cisternae are not as long, are often curved, do not have attached ribosomes and have many vesicles nearby. So the Golgi apparatus processes these proteins which are sent from the endoplasmic reticulum, brought in the vesicles from endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Most of the proteins are then carried to the vesicles to plasma membrane for secretion. So the next organelle is lysosome. They have digestive enzymes stored in it. So just as we understood here, so whatever proteins that are coming inside the Golgi apparatus, so for example, these proteins are certain enzymes. So this particular vesicle will go to these lysosomes and it will get fused with this lysosome, and the enzymes will again be stored inside these lysosomes. So whatever food has to be digested, it is actually engulfed by these lysosomes and then it is digested using these digestive enzymes. So these lysosomes have pH much less when compared to the pH of the cytoplasm. So for example, if this is a cell, this is the nucleus, and these are the lysosomes. So whatever food particles or whatever food is there, it will be engulfed by these vesicles, it will be digested. So pH of this cytoplasm will be higher when compared to pH of these particular lysosomes. So their function is digestion of food. So they are formed by Golgi vesicles. They contain high concentration of protein, which makes them densely staining in electron micrograph. They contain digestive enzymes. They can break down ingested food. So they can break down proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and all type of molecules that are present inside the cell or which are actually ingested from outside. Now next organelle is mitochondria. It has an inner and outer membrane. So this is another organelle which is double membraned. Okay, so earlier we studied which other organelles were double membrane. So plasma membrane is double membraned, then nuclear membrane is double, mitochondria membrane is double, and also the chloroplast membrane is double. Other organelles have a single membrane structure. So like Golgi apparatus and endoplasmic reticulum, they'll have a single membrane present outside them. Okay, and if we talk about ribosomes do not even have a membrane outside them. Lysosomes are also single membraned. So the double membrane structures are plasma membrane, nuclear membrane, mitochondrial membrane, and chloroplast membrane. These are double membrane. Okay, so mitochondria are powerhouse of the cell. The double membrane surrounds the mitochondria. The inner membrane is invaginated to form cristae. So just as I told you, if this is the outer membrane of this mitochondria, the inner membrane will have projections like this, and these particular projections are called as cristae. Okay, the fluid inside the cell is called as matrix. So this particular space will have fluid filled, and this space is called as matrix. Now the shape of mitochondria is variable, but usually spherical or ovoid. Generally the structure is spherical or ovoid. They produce ATP for the cell by aerobic cell respiration. Fat is digested here if it is being used as an energy source inside the cell. Okay. Next is free ribosomes. So certain ribosomes, just as we discussed, are attached with the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which actually produce proteins and which are actually entered inside the rough endoplasmic reticulum, while the free ribosomes will do protein synthesis, will help in protein synthesis, and these proteins will be freely present inside the cytoplasm, and they'll not be transported, they'll be present within the cell. So they appear dark granules in the cytoplasm and are not surrounded by a membrane. So ribosomes do not have a membrane outside them. They have same size as ribosomes attached to rough endoplasmic reticulum. So there is no structural difference between the freely suspended ribosomes inside the cytoplasm or the ribosomes that are attached to rough endoplasmic reticulum. They have similar size and everything is similar in them. Free ribosomes synthesize proteins, releasing it in the cytoplasm as enzymes or in other ways. Ribosomes are constructed in a region of nucleus called nucleolus. So interestingly, the nucleus will also have, so for example, if this is a cell and this is the nucleus, so it will have a dense area inside it. So most of the area will have the genetic material, the cytoplasm. Now this nucleolus, it doesn't have another membrane outside it, but certain RNA and proteins are concentrated here, and this particular organelle part is called as nucleolus. So for example, if this is a cell, this is a nucleus. So the cell is covered by a plasma membrane, nucleus is covered by a nuclear membrane. Inside the nucleus, one similar, this dense part is called as a nucleolus. Nucleolus. And what is the function of this nucleolus? So nucleolus will have a lot of RNA and proteins, and that will form these ribosomes. So the ribosome synthesis or the formation of ribosome is actually taking place inside the nucleus in the nucleolus. The next organelle is chloroplast, and the chloroplast will have stroma, which is the free space, and it will have double membrane thylakoids. So these coin like stacks of these thylakoids will form cristae. Okay, and these will actually help in the photosynthesis process, and it will also have starch grains, because here the glucose molecules are being produced by the process of photosynthesis. So starch grains are collection of glucose. That means if glucose molecules will form a polymer, a chain like structure, it is called as starch. So the carbohydrates of glucose molecules are stored here in the form of starch grains. So it is also a double membrane structure, surrounds the chloroplast. Inside are stacks of thylakoids, which are flattened sacs or membranes. The shape of chloroplast is variable. It is also spherical or ovoid generally. They produce glucose and wide variety of other organic compounds by photosynthesis. If chloroplasts have been photosynthesizing rapidly, they may contain starch grains, because a lot of glucose molecules will be accumulated and they'll form a chain like structure, glucose molecules, which is called as a starch grain. Okay. Coming to the next one, vacuoles and vesicles. So vacuoles contain food, and this is a large vacuole, this is a small vacuole, and the even smaller ones are called as vesicles. So they are very small, you can say single layered organelles, which are called as vesicles. The larger ones are called as vacuoles. So this is a large vacuole which will generally fill water inside it, and this is a small vacuole which is containing food inside it. Okay. So the organelles consist of single membrane with fluid inside. Many plant cells have large vacuoles that occupy more than half of the cell volume. So in the first part, when we were studying microscopy, we saw large cells. They'll be covered with a cell wall, and they'll have a central large vacuole like structure. So this was the vacuole, which is filled with water, and outside the organelles, other organelles like nucleus, mitochondria, or chloroplast will be present. So plant cells have large vacuole inside them, but animal cells do not have this large vacuole. Many plant cells have large vacuole that occupy most of the volume. Animals absorb food from outside and digest them inside the vacuole. So animal cells do also have vacuoles, but they are smaller in size compared to plant cells. Some unicellular organisms use vacuole to expel excess water. So these unicellular organism, the lower organism, just as we discussed amoeba, and we were discussing certain algae, so they will use these particular vacuoles to expel excess of water. Vesicles are very small vacuoles used to transport materials inside the cell. So vesicles are very small vacuoles. For transportation, they are helpful. Next is microtubules and centrioles. So microtubules and centrioles. So microtubules are basically triple microtubules. That means if we are talking about a microtubule, so it is tubulin. It is made up of tubulin protein. So one microtubule structure is like this. So a lot of tubulins will form one microtubule. So if we want to see triple microtubule, so three such strands will come together. Okay, so this will form this one thing. So this one thing, if you see this part from this side or from the top, it will look like this. So these are long thread like structures like this, and three of them will be arranged like this. So this is forming basically, you can say centriole or flagella or cilia. So they all will be formed with these microtubules. Okay. So the cytoplasm of the cell contains small cylindrical fibers called microtubules. They have variety of roles, for example, movement of chromosomes during cell division. So we just discussed. The spindle fibers are also made up of these microtubules. Animal cells have structures called centrioles. From these centrioles, these spindle fibers will originate, and which consist of two groups of 9 triple microtubules. So this kind of structure will be formed. So one spindle fiber will be formed with the help of such three microtubules groups, which are 9 in number. So total 9 groups, and in each group there are 3 microtubule strands will be present. So this whole thing will form one spindle fiber. Okay, so it is a complex structure which is made up of very small protein tubulins. Now the next thing is centriole form an anchor protein for microtubules. and during cell division, and also for microtubules inside cilia and flagella. So cilia and flagella will also have certain arrangements of microtubules, and spindle fibers also have these arrangements. Now coming to the cytoskeleton. So the cytoskeleton is made up of several protein fibers. So why do cells need this cytoskeleton? So to give cell a particular structure or shape, certain particular proteins form a cytoskeleton, or the skeletal structure on the just inside the plasma membrane. So they will keep the cell intact, and these different proteins are tubulins, which will form microtubules. Okay, so tubulins are making microtubules. Actins will form microfilaments. So these structures can easily be constructed or deconstructed. So the cytoskeleton is dynamic. That means it keeps on moving from time to time. Microtubules guide the movement of compartments within the cell. So for example, if this is a cell and if we have to keep the nucleus in the center of the cell, so these cytoskeletal proteins will help this particular nucleus to remain in the center. So basically they will be attached to these structures like this, and they'll keep it intact in its place. So this particular cytoskeleton, here we are talking about two kind of proteins that are helpful, that form the major cytoskeleton. First is tubulins, and tubulins form microtubules. Okay, tubulins form microtubules. And the second thing is actin. Okay, actin proteins that forms the microfilaments. So basically the cytoskeleton of a cell is composed of microtubules and microfilaments, which keeps the cell structure intact. It helps in transport of the vesicles or organelles, and also keep the space of a particular organelle fixed inside. So it helps the organelles to stay evenly distributed inside this cell. So microtubules guide the movement of components within the cell. They help the plant cells to construct cell walls. A layer of microfilaments just inside the plasma membrane helps the animal cells to maintain their shape. So just as we discussed, if the Golgi apparatus is secreting vesicles which has to be sent to the plasma membrane and secrete the protein outside, so it will be guided by this cytoskeleton. So these vesicles will be guided by these cytoskeleton. So they will start from a Golgi apparatus, and they'll reach to the plasma membrane, and it'll be secreted out. So next is cilia and flagella. So they help in movement of particular cells. So their structure is something like this. So here also this is made up of microtubules. So here two groups of 9 micro. So here 9 groups are present, two microtubules each, and in the center single microtubule. So these two different groups are present. So this will form a structure of a cilia or flagella. So they are whip-like structures projecting from the cell surface, and they contain ring of 9 double microtubules plus 2 central ones. So there is a ring of 9 groups, 2 each of microtubules, and 2 central ones which are single. Flagella are large, and usually one is present as in sperm. Sperm also has a flagella. Cilia are smaller, and maybe many are present. So cilia are many in number. Just like we studied in paramecium, there are a lot of cilia that help in movement. Cilia and flagella can be used for locomotion, for the movement of cells. Cilia can also be used to create current in the fluid next to a cell. So this is how. So these are small you can say the part or organelles of a cell that helps in movement to keep the cell structure intact. They are cytoskeleton. For the movement, cilia and flagella are helpful. Okay, so cilia and flagella are generally present in lower organisms, but in higher organism, the gametes, generally the male gametes will have flagella, and certain cells might also have cilia for the movement of fluids within the cell. So I hope it is clear, the whole structure of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So here we can see this is a electron micrograph of a liver cell. The plasma membrane is visible as a dark line. So here we can see the plasma membrane, which is a dark line. Okay. And dark line part of the cell on the right is not visible. All right, so on the right side it's not visible. So here we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum that are present. This is a mitochondria, this is the nucleus, these are the free ribosomes, right? So this is the nucleus and this is the nucleolus that we can see here, and this is probably the plasma membrane which is present on the outer side here, this one. Okay, so these are different organelles which are suspended inside it. So these are Golgi apparatus. This might be a mitochondria. Okay, again, this is one more mitochondria. So organelles might be several in number. So students, that is all for this session, and I hope the topic is clear to all of you. Here also one more picture is given for E. coli structure. So this is a prokaryotic cell. So here we can see the nucleoid region containing naked DNA. So nucleoid means the DNA is collected at one place, and cytoplasm will have freely suspended ribosomes and other proteins and enzymes that are present. So this is the cell wall which is present on the outer side. Inside the cell wall will be the plasma membrane, and the structure will be filled with the cytoplasm, which is the fluid mainly present inside the living cells. So students, that is all for this session, and I hope all of the structures are clear to you. So understand one difference: cilia and flagella arrangement of microtubules is little bit different when compared to spindle fibers. Spindle fibers that are originating from the centrioles during cell division, so their arrangement is different. Group of 3 microtubules, a pair of 9. It is a circle which is made up of 9 groups, 9 such groups, and cilia and flagella, they are having 9 groups, 2 of microtubules, and 2 singles are present in the center. While in the spindle fibers, no such single central microtubules are present. So understand the difference between these all. So all of them are made up of microtubules generally, whether you talk about spindle fibers or cilia or flagella, but the arrangement of microtubules is little bit different. So students, that is all for this session, and see you all in the next class.